Okay, hey guys, Morentin here, My Fit Life, Cannabis Oil Secrets. Sorry I was a couple minutes late. I was on a consultation. Alrighty, so welcome to the first of our Cannabis Oil Secrets live streams. It's a hangout and question and answer for our group. Okay, so just want to make sure everything is working correctly. Let me put up a couple things here. So we're going to be going over a couple of things tonight. Hold on for a second. Yeah, we're going to be going over a couple of things. We're going to be going over a couple announcements, like some updates for the group. And then we're going to be going over like two questions that I get asked a lot are this about suppositories. And so I'll give you my thoughts on suppositories. I'm going to give you some examples. And then the other question that I've been getting a lot, especially I even got it today in a previous consultation of what you should be doing to help the RSO, the exemption oil or the full extract cannabis oil to work better, okay, or to actually work at all so you can overcome the situation. Over here at My Fit Life, about probably 80 to 90% of the people are, have cancer. Different forms of cancer, but but it's also for chronic pain, fibromyalgia, neuropathies, even things like stress, anxiety, depression, panic attacks, all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really cool. All right. So let me look over here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you. I want to go over those announcements real quick just to get those out of the way. It's just stuff that'll help you to get around the site better, the group. So I'm going to share my screen, entire screen. All right, and for those of you that may not be familiar, we have a Cannabis Oil Secrets group. It's a free group. I'll show you it in just a second. So let me go over here. All right. Copy. Let me see if this works here. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but so I just put the link in the comment section to the group. It's a free group to join, and there's a bunch of different stuff inside of the group. There is like a wall, sort of like Facebook, but it's not Facebook, and where you could ask questions and just have general discussions and stuff like that. There's a classroom area that has some protocols and some protocols that are going to be coming soon, and then some tips and strategies and FAQ videos and stuff like that. We'll go over how to get into that in a second. The protocols themselves, they're ready to access as soon as you get in, the ones that are available. And I just updated, just so you guys know, I updated the stage 4 protocol to break it down a little bit better. The previous ones were just like one page, one long video, and the download. And I broke out the stage 4 to several videos plus the download of the actual protocol, which is there. You could view it or download it, and then it has other stuff like dosing guides and like for the tincture bottles, how much it takes to get to 50 milligrams, 100 milligrams, etc. All that kind of stuff. That's all in here. So you don't have to really download the stuff. You can download it, but it's here for you all the time. So you just know it's there. And if you ever forget, like how many drops does it take to get to 100 milligrams for the daytime and nighttime formula are the same. You just go in here and check it out and then close it out. You don't have to look for it in your email or on your hard drive or anything. It's just always right here for you. All righty. So in the classroom section, if you're like new to the group, you'll see the tips, strategies, and FAQs area. It'll say like restricted to level 2 users or something like that. And it's really easy to get from level 1 to level 2. I made it restricted because inside of it, I have for like the videos, I have also the download of either the slide deck or the full outline of how I came about, the presentation. So in case there's any people that are competitors or whatever that try to come in. It's just like a little deterrent for them, to get there. But it's super easy, like I said. And the only thing that you're really missing is the downloads. Most of the videos are on YouTube, right? Like about 80 to 90% of the videos that are going to be in this thing in this section are going to be on YouTube anyways. But to get to level 1 to level 2, it's just 5 points, right? That you need. And the way you get points in the group is by getting a like to a comment or a post. So you make a post, and if you get a like, you get a point. If you get 5 likes, you get 5 points, and that's all you need to move from level 1 to level 2, right? And if you make a comment, the same thing. If somebody likes it, you get a point. So you could literally get 5 points in like 1 day or 5 days max, because like I post in there just about every day. So if you comment on one of my posts, each day, or even the past posts, I'm going to like it, and you'll get likes that way, and you get points. You get your 5 points that way. Other people will probably like it because they know that you need to move to level 2, and stuff like that. And you could do it literally in 1 to 5 days. It's nothing at all, and it's all free. It doesn't cost you anything, right? Okay, so one last thing with the updates, and then we'll get into the actual questions and the good stuff. So let's see over here. Let me close out of this protocol. All right, so getting back into the group. So you go to, if you're on the community page, if you want to adjust the amount of emails that you get into the group, and again, this is Cannabis Oil Secrets group. The link is in the chat, and it's also it'll also be in the description below the video recording after this is posted. But if you want to adjust the number of emails you get, I believe it's in here. If I didn't open it up to Or maybe it's not in here. So I thought it was in here. So maybe it's over here. Okay, yeah. Alrighty. So you would go to the settings tab where your profile picture is, and click or actually just click your profile picture and go to the settings tab, and then go to your group. Because you could join multiple groups inside of this thing, and just click on the settings, and then let's see. It's the same exact thing, right? Huh. Okay, I'll have to figure out. Sorry about that. I saw it the other day, and now I don't see it. So let's get into the actual the meat of the purpose of the actual call, right? So I'm going to remove that for a second, make me a little bit bigger. So one of the questions that I have gotten, and get like pretty much every week is about suppositories. And, they ask if I have suppositories, the Rick Simpson oil suppositories, if I know how to make them, if I sell them, all that kind of stuff, right? And I don't really, I'm not a fan of the suppositories myself. And the reason for that is that it works for some people and it doesn't for others. Now, I know that there's some people that they feel that suppositories are the best thing in the world and that everybody should do suppositories. And I'll show you in a second. I'll share the screen again and show you some examples of why I don't like them, and what's happened to some people that were proponents of that, that suggested everybody should take suppositories and nobody should take it orally, all that kind of stuff, right? Because there are people like that, like Sean Beeman from Genesis Farms. He's one of the OG guys. He knew Rick Simpson, and up in Oregon, and sold a ton of RSO, all in suppository form, that kind of stuff. So I'm familiar with it. I knew him personally and stuff like that. So I'm very familiar with the stuff. But like I said, it doesn't work for everybody. And if it doesn't work for you, if you're the person it works for, then that's cool and you're good. If you're one of those people that it doesn't work for and you're taking this stuff, you're wasting money. And if you have cancer in a later stage, you're actually risking death, right? So pretty much, everybody that's going to get benefit from RSO or FECO, they can get the benefit taking it orally. Not like it's sort of like a 50-50 or even less than that, I believe, that people will get results taking it through suppository, rectally, right? And I just spoke with somebody, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, that came to me. They were going to another lady that she specializes in the suppositories, and she's over in Southern California, and she just sells like these suppository kits, and this gentleman was taking them, and he was like, he has cancer, plus he had hardcore pain in his shoulder, that just wouldn't go away, and all these different kinds of things, and and he was feeling very ill. And so he started on our stuff. I told him about our stuff, the daytime formula, which is because people take suppositories so they don't get high. That's the whole reason why. Like, I don't want to get high, so you're going to do a suppository, and hopefully it works. But I don't like to hope. I like that there's no things are going to work. So we developed that CBD dominant version, and I mentioned that we had that to the gentleman with the suppositories, because he was like, I heard good things about you. I want to try your stuff. But I told him we don't do suppositories, but we have the daytime and nighttime formula, which if you're part of the group, you know about that, right? And the importance. But he started taking that, and as a matter of fact, he only started out with the daytime formula because he still had a few suppositories that were high THC, so he was doing those at nighttime or whatever. And just with the daytime formula, he's feeling better. He's not feeling as ill. He's not having waking up with diarrhea and all the stuff that was happening before. And then also the shoulder pain that's been there that would not budge at all is completely gone. Not just better, but completely gone. And he's only been on it for less than a month, right? And so he called back yesterday, I believe it was, and he bought more of both, the daytime and the nighttime formula, etc. But he was a person he again said, hey, I was doing the suppositories, and nothing was happening, and I've been on your stuff for less than a month, and I already feel much better just overall, and my shoulder pain is completely gone, which is like a miracle for me, because it was pretty severe. So that's a good example of suppositories, not working for somebody, and taking it orally, they're taking the right stuff, our stuff, obviously, because not everybody's stuff is good either, but the lady that he got it from is supposedly, highly recommended or whatever. So we're just assuming that she had good stuff, but he's one of the people that it didn't work for, right? And he's taking it orally now, and he's doing the daytime version, so he doesn't get high during the day, and he's taking the nighttime version, in the evening, and getting that benefit, the full benefit, and he's actually getting results now, whereas with the suppositories he wasn't, again. And then I'll share my screen, and I'll show you further proof about why I don't like the suppositories, right? So let me see here. Hopefully this will. Okay, good. So I'm gonna share all my screens. So there was a guy named Sean Beeman, right? He was a guy and he personally hung out with Rick Simpson, and when I first started extracting RSO over a decade ago, I talked to him a bunch of times, just because he was a cool guy to talk to. But as far as administering, he only did the suppositories, and he made oil, and when it became legal, in the state of Oregon. Then he was able to get his stuff inside of dispensaries and all kinds of stuff. But he's like, again, just only promoting suppositories. And I went to his page the other day, and let me see here. This is him right here at Oregon Genesis Farms. And because last time I talked to him was, I think, at the beginning of this year or end of last year, and he was going to Thailand because he had some illness that it was like a Lyme disease kind of a thing, but he wasn't able to take care of it with the RSO, and he was going to Thailand to get some special treatment. And I went on his page, and he passed away, So he's a proponent of the suppositories, and he passed away. There's like Lyme disease is something that you should be able to overcome, through, with the help of RSO for sure, because it feeds your endocannabinoid system, and other things, nutrition, supplementation, and then removing some stuff that could be causing the situation as well. But and going through the detoxification protocols, et cetera. But he's an example of that. He passed away, and he was like known as one of the best makers of RSO in the world, and proponent of suppositories. And I know like a couple different people that they were proponents of suppositories, and they pretty much only sold or like recommended to most people that they take suppositories, and they're dead now, right? So it to me, if it worked, it would, they'd be alive, right? Like with me, like I went blind from glaucoma, got my vision back with cannabis oils, crushed a lifetime of migraines and chronic pain, but and I could see, like over 10 years later, because it's the same thing with that. Like there's people that supposedly got help with their glaucoma from blindness or whatever, but if you try to talk to them, like, hey, I want to talk to them to see what they're doing. Maybe they're doing something different than me that could help me or whatever. But if you try to talk to them, oh, well, that person's blind now, because it helped them for a little bit, but they weren't able to sustain that. Like sustained success is what's important, not just having a bleep of success, like it helped me for a month or it helped me for 6 months, but you want sustained success where you will be able to get better, and better, obtain optimal health, and then maintain that, for the rest of your life, basically. So that's the most optimal thing to me. All right. So so hopefully that answers why I don't really like suppositories and why I prefer going the oral route. And like we said, like the most common thing with the oral route is that people don't want to get high, and they could do the daytime version that I developed, during the day, and not get high during the day, and just deal with the high at night. And just like if you have cancer, just deal with it. It's only for a short period of time that you take the massive amounts, and then after you overcome your cancer, you go into a maintenance phase, which is nothing. Like you won't feel the high after that. It's only like 100 milligrams to 200 milligrams a day, right? But so you just deal with it that way, and it's like a life or death situation for people. So to me, it's a no-brainer. And then also there's the daytime formula, like we said, where you just don't get high. It has the benefits of RSO, but it doesn't get you high. It actually helps with your mental clarity, your short-term memory, and confidence, and it helps to stave off things like anxiety, stress, depression, and panic attacks, right? So so that's basically why I don't like the suppositories, and the alternative that I've created, so people don't have to deal with the high all day long. They just have to deal with the high at night. And there's some people that just take the daytime formula day and night, and they have success. But the way people do it over here, like probably about 80 to 90% of the people right now do a mixture of the daytime formula and the nighttime formula of the RSO or full extract cannabis oil, and they're getting success, right? So that sort of brings us into the next little topic of discussion or question that I get a lot is, what can you do in addition to the RSO or the Rick Simpson oil to help your situation, your chronic condition? You know, like I said, most of the time it's cancer, but even if it's chronic pain, you know, things like leukemia, epilepsy, whatever it may be, what can you do to help the RSO to work better or to work at all, you know, in today's world? Because I was talking to a guy who's, you know, he makes RSO like super awesome, and he's been doing it for, you know, well over a decade. He has a big group with over 30,000 people in it, you know, for RSO and cancer and things like that. And we were talking earlier this week, actually, and he's like, back in the, you know, like 10 years ago when we were doing this, like, you know, like in the group, you know, or with the people we're working with, you know, you'd hear about remissions like every month, like even 2 or 3 remissions every month, like these success stories, you know, and it's not like that anymore. Like the remissions are very rare. Like people are, you know, they're having, you know, good success and not having the cancer advance and stuff like that. But the people that get like no detectable cancer or get into hardcore remissions, you know, and then in the no detectable cancer after that, it's not as common. And for the people that do obtain it, it's taking longer to get there, right? And part of the reason is because of the world is so toxic these days. Okay, let me get out of this guy, because what do I call it? He was a buddy of mine, and it's sort of sad that he passed, or it is very sad that he passed away, you know. And but like, so we don't want that for you guys, you know. We want you to have success. And you know, like he was that guy that was on the screen, you know, he was doing suppositories, which I don't recommend, you know. But he was also searching out something else because he knew that there was something else he should be doing, but he didn't know what it was. And he went all the way to Thailand to do it. I know other people that go to Mexico, they'll go to Germany, they'll go wherever, you know, and pay tens of thousands of dollars to do these, you know, cancer treatments, you know, at these cancer centers. You know, I know one guy he was just saying for his wife, you know, he's a high level entrepreneur in a mastermind that I'm in, and he was saying like, I'm going to take some time off of my business, and it's an e-commerce business, you know, and I'm going to, you know, just let it run itself basically, and I'm going to spend the next several months with my wife in California doing this treatment, and it's costing it's a cancer protocol treatment, heavy duty. It's costing them $250,000, right? Like $250,000. So so like all that stuff, you know, and people still like don't have success. I see that all the time, where like the people will come back and they'll from these trips and spending like $10,000 in Germany or $35,000 in Mexico or wherever, you know, and staying there for however long and doing, you know, like these in-house protocols and treatments and whatever's, you know, and they come back and they'll hop on our stuff, and, you know, more times than not, they have success, and they're just like, fuck, I spent all this money, I went all these different places, and I could have been doing this, you know, when you live down the street or you live a couple states away or whatever, you know. It's sort of trippy, you know. But getting back to the situation, there are things that you can do to enhance the RSO, and there's things that you can not do to enhance the RSO. Okay, so we'll go over some of the things, because taking a step back, everybody whenever they want to get better, they usually want to add things in, right? And they don't think about taking things away. And sort of the first thing you should do is take things away. Even with cause I've been in health and wellness and fitness since 1987. So we started out with milder things like gym stuff and weight loss. But even with that, it's like, what should I add into my new protocol? Like before they even started the protocol yet, whether it's fitness routines or diet regimens or full-blown cancer protocols, like what should I add to it? And like if it was for weight loss, what protein powder should I add? What this, whatever kind of fat burner, whatever. And like you're already taking in too much food, more than you need. Why would you need to add in a protein powder or add in this other thing or that other thing? You want, try removing some stuff before adding more things in. So with cancer, I was talking with somebody a little bit earlier in a consultation. She has cancer. I think it started out in her liver and now it's in her brain. And I was talking to her and saying like I think they figured out a way, because like the RSO, works so well. Over 10,000 studies show that they figured out a way to make it so it doesn't work, right? And anymore. And they figured out a way to still kill you and to kill more of a majority of people. So so part of the reason people aren't having as the easy success that they used to with the RSO is that the world is so toxic, right? Like all the 5G towers, the stuff they spray in the air, so the air we breathe, the food we eat, the water we drink, it's all way more toxic than it used to be. So we're way more overburdened, and that's why we have more sickness and disease. But it's also the reason why we're not able to overcome that sickness and disease, because our immune system is constantly compromised due to the constant onslaught of toxins. So you have to almost take in an overabundance of things that will feed and fuel your immune system. Then not just take in things to feed it, but take in an overabundance of it, like a macro dose of it, in order to obtain optimal health, right? So and that's a lot of times minerals. That's why we have people do the Shilajit and the MSM, which are a multi-mineral and a single mineral, but taking in that stuff is huge, because and doing enough of it too is huge. Like people think that they get scared of taking the amount of MSM that they need to. Like they'll agree to the gram a day, type of a thing for the RSO, but they depend on that too much, and they either shun the MSM and Shilajit, or they'll take it haphazardly and not as much as I recommend, especially with the MSM, because you take grams of it. But a person my height, my weight, like 5'9", about 175, 180 pounds, would have over 4 pounds of MSM in their body. It's the third most abundant single substance in your body, one of the 5 elements of life. That's why you need it, and you need to take enough of it to get a beneficial result. Because if you have 4 pounds of it, right, that's what, like 1,800 grams. So you have to take grams of it a day. Like if you have cancer, like 15 to 20 grams of it a day at least. Like that's like a minimal dose. Like if you're healthy, then anywhere from 6 to 10 grams, and 6 grams was like year 2002 kind of thing, or 1995 or something like that. The world is more toxic now, so you need more stuff in you, because to get rid of the toxins, it eats up minerals, right? So if you eat up minerals, then you need to replace them and replenish them. And if you're eating up more of them because the world's more toxic, then you need to take in more than we previously needed, right? So the dietary allowance, the daily allowance that you need is elevated now because of the amount of toxins in the air. All right. So getting back to the things to remove, though, because there's things that you should remove, and how the medical establishment, allopathic medicine, and the pharmaceutical industry has made it so people still get sick, even though they're taking things like RSO and minerals and things like that. is the frequency of testing, and the amount of tests that people take, and the different dyes and different things they put inside. If you like, you either drink them or they inject them into you. And for some people, they'll put stuff dyes directly into their spinal fluid. Like it's crazy. I would never do any of that kind of stuff, right? But because it's so toxic, and the stuff that you drink and the stuff that gets injected into you, those dyes that will show the markers and things like that, those things are super toxic, and and cancer causing. So if you're getting tested like every 3 months, which is the common thing now, it used to be like much longer than that. It was like every 6 months or so, that people will get tested. But now people are getting tested. They're getting those dyes and different things put inside of them alongside that, and getting multiple tests, like multiple areas, and that's crazy harmful for you, like especially to have that every 3 months. So I know people want to know what's going on and things like that, but if you are a person that wants to get tested, like if it was me, this is like all this isn't medical advice or anything like that. I have to say that, it's just my opinion and things like that. But if it was me, I would, and like I was like, I want to know what's going on. Like I probably wouldn't get tested at all. But if I was a person that like that to know what's going on, then I would get tested like maybe every 6 months, or maybe every 9 months or a year or something like that, and not every 3 months for sure. So that's one thing you could do. And then most people they understand like what a healthy eating is, but they really don't. Okay. And there's I was talking to somebody earlier about this as well. The way that you eat to stay healthy is much different than the way you eat to get healthy. All right. So like you could eat healthy meats and healthy carbs and healthy fats and all these different things to stay healthy, and and do your little bulletproof coffee stuff and your MCT oils and all these different things that are fun to do to stay healthy. If you are healthy and you do those things to stay healthy. But if you're sick, if you're ill, if you have chronic condition, then just doing that baseline stuff that will keep you healthy isn't enough. So that's why I say what it takes to stay healthy is not what it takes to get healthy. You have to be more hardcore, more diligent with what you're doing, and actually remove more stuff than adding things in, So, and that has to do even with things like meat, right? Even with healthy meats, and that has to do with, again, with the number of minerals, even the amino acids, different things like that your body needs to fight off the sickness and disease, the cancer, the leukemia, the fibromyalgia, the neuropathies. In order to fight that stuff off, you need to feed some nutrition, but you also need to remove things that are going to rob your body of nutrition, right? And that's what meat does. So processed foods definitely do that, because they don't have, they're just like, and they cause sickness and disease because they're toxic, but also because they don't have any enzymes and other nutrients to help process through them. Your body has to contribute nutrition to process through them. So and the same thing applies with meat. And by the way, when your body has to contribute nutrients to process through something, that's called a poison, right? So so with meats, especially cooked meat, which 99% of the meat that people eat is going to be cooked. It destroys nutrition, but it also destroys the enzymes that help process through the food. So your body has to contribute enzymes, through your pancreas, digestive enzymes, in order to process through that meat, right? And the enzymes are made up of amino acids and minerals primarily. And amino acids and minerals are what make up your immune system. So what are you doing when you eat that meat? When you have cancer, you're contributing minerals, you're contributing amino acids to create the enzymes to break down that meat, and you are lowering your immune system, right? So you're lowering your ability to fight off sickness and disease. All right. So that leads us into a little side note of cannabis. It doesn't, in my eyes, it doesn't directly kill cancer, right? You have an endocannabinoid system that needs to be fed with cannabinoids in order for your body to operate at the most optimal levels. But cannabis isn't just this thing that kills cancer. It helps a variety of things because your endocannabinoid system regulates every other system in your body. So if you don't have cannabinoids, then you're going to malfunction at some point, and that's what cancer is. That's what, other people manifest things differently. Some people get lupus, some people get cancer, some people get chronic pain from unknown origins, neuropathies, all these different things. But at the end of the day, it's all not all, but like a majority of it, like 90+% of it, is a cannabinoid deficiency, right? So feeding the body with cannabinoids and the terpenes, isoflavones, flavonoids, and all that stuff that's contained within the cannabis plant, that's essential, right? And then, like I said, getting that stuff in you, but removing the things that will steal the minerals from you and steal the amino acids from you, like meat, is a big deal. So even healthy meats, like the toxic meats that are available in the supermarkets and at restaurants and fast food places, those ones are even more toxic because they contain dyes and they're injected with all kinds of chemicals, and they're irradiated. It's just crazy what's done to that stuff, especially after the meat is put it into place, and take it from the animal because at that point they don't have to say what they're doing to it. But I've studied this stuff for decades, and I know exactly what they're doing to it. So the toxic meats, are even more poisonous and cancer causing for you. But even healthy meats, they're not going to allow your body to actually get into a state where it can fight off the hardcore sickness and disease that cancer is. So that's basically what the endocannabinoid system will do for you if you feed the body with cannabinoids. It's not going to have these things that just kill cancer like that, whatever. It gets your body into a healing state where it could actually fight off any kind of sickness and disease, and then like doing other things along with it, which we'll talk about, we may as well talk about now, will help to enhance that as well, like doing things like a cleansing and detoxification program, like our 21-day reset. It helps to reset and reformat your internal hard drive. It helps to balance out like the different systems in your body that get shut off, right? Because your endocannabinoid system balances all your systems. If you don't have cannabinoids in your system to feed your endocannabinoid system, then it's not going to function properly, and certain systems and functions in your body will get shut down, right? And if you feed your body with some cannabinoids and you start eating healthy, maybe you weren't eating so healthy, so now you're eating healthy again, that's not enough to turn those systems back on. All right. So like I said before, what it takes to stay healthy is not what it takes to get healthy. So in order to turn those systems back on, you need to go through a proper cleansing and detoxification program that literally will reset different things like your adrenal glands, the little things that sit on top of your kidneys and your thyroid, I get that functioning properly again. So those different, like your adrenal glands, your thyroid, they produce hormones, and a variety of hormones, not just like one hormone like testosterone or estrogen, but all the hormones, right? And that if your thyroid isn't working properly because you're overly stressed, or and your adrenals are blown out because you're overly stressed and you drink a lot of coffee and all that kind of stuff, then you're going to stop being able to produce the proper amount of hormones, in the proper mix when your body needs them, if at all. Like you'd actually, like the whole system could actually get shut down. And that's why some people, they just need coffee when they wake up and they get all day long because they're not producing, the hormones that provide energy, the adrenaline, noradrenaline, and all and the other ones that are produced within the adrenal glands, right? So hopefully that makes sense, So, but to get those things turned back on, your adrenal glands functioning again, your thyroid functioning properly again, you need to go through a proper cleansing and detoxification program, and it needs to last long enough to actually have a beneficial effect, a biological effect on your body, not just a weight loss effect, but a biological effect on your body, right? So that's why our program is a minimum of 21 days, and that's because it takes that long for your body to biologically get into a healing state, and then to reset and reformat, its internal hard drive, like the adrenal glands, the thyroid, glands, all the different things that, all the different systems, even your endocannabinoid system, they get everything that's functioning at its utmost optimal levels. Again, you do that. And then, after that, you eat in a way to support the a cancer protocol or a chronic pain protocol or something like that, and not just eating healthy, but actually doing something that's actually gonna to beat cancer, and that could be removing food altogether for a little bit, which is something that we do at the end or towards the end of the 21-day reset, especially for people with cancer, where they do like a minimum, like healthy people will do like a 24-hour water fast, but the people with cancer and even with migraines and chronic pain, and especially with leukemia and lupus and other systemic things, they'll do a 3-day water fast all the way up to a 7-day and longer water fast. And that's to get the body in a massive healing state and a massive toxin purge. And we're talking toxins of the basic toxins that you would think of, like heavy metals, microplastics, things like that. All the different things like hydrogels and all the different nanoparticles and all that stuff that comes from the jab and that we breathe in from the chemtrails and all that shit. We could bind all that stuff and remove that through the detox protocol and also massively with a water fast, as long as we're doing some biofilm busting supplements and binders along with it, which we show you how to do in the 21-day reset, But whether it's a 21-day reset or some other proper, like a real detox program and a real biofilm busting protocol, and et cetera, then that's how you get your body into that healing state, and that's how the cannabis oils can actually do a full frontal assault on the cancer, right? So doing the RSO, and I'll make out a little sheet after this. I'll rewatch the video and make an outline of everything for you guys to do, and there'll be a replay of this as well. And I'll have the free download for the PDF, etc. But you're taking the RSO, like just say for sake of symptoms of dis-ease, we'll talk about for cancer, but it's the same thing for other people that have other conditions that may be quote unquote lighter, but you would still want to follow a similar kind of process. But like I said, 80 to 90% of the people that I work with have cancer. So, You would do, start off with the RSO. Over here, people do the daytime and the nighttime formula, so you don't get high during the day, but you still get the benefits of RSO, and you just deal with the high at night with the nighttime formula. And then you would also do the other two supporting supplements, the MSM and the Shilajit. We talked about why earlier, but they're basically minerals, to help to build and strengthen your immune system, So the cannabis oils, the Shilajit, and the MSM, we call it the trifecta of health because it greatly enhances and builds your immune system and your structure too, your connective tissue like crazy. And things that we need, like to overcome like hardcore sickness and disease, like acetylcysteine, the N-acetylcysteine, and the NAC, all these different things that are talked about and popular now, like MSM and CBD together create those things naturally in your body, and you can create it better than taking it orally, because if you take NAC orally, very little of it's absorbed, and you can actually taking MSM and CBD will actually create more of the NAC in your body, plus to a plethora of other benefits, right? So just do the core stuff that creates the badass stuff in your body, instead of taking all these single little things, So because cannabis oils aren't just one single little thing. There's like 113 plus cannabinoids. There's tons of different terpenes, isoflavones, flavonoids, and a plethora of other phytonutrients, like hundreds or thousands of them. And then omega-3 fatty acids, omega-6 fatty acids. It's a complete food. It's a complete protein. Cannabis, like hemp seeds, just period, are one of the best sources of protein on the planet. Like better than any meat, anything. It's crazy the way your body absorbs and utilizes it, and it's readily available in high amounts. It's super awesome, and it tastes good too. But so you do again, like the cannabis oils, the Shilajit, the MSM. You do a detox program. Towards the end of the detox program, you do a water fast. A minimum for cancer and other chronic conditions, a minimum of 3 days is what we found. Like doing it, a 24-hour water fast is cool, and you'll have some really good benefit. But you want to remember, you got to make sure you're doing a proper detox that actually detoxifies your body and not just helps you lose weight. Because those are two different things. Like with the proper detox, weight loss is a side effect of it. That's not the main thing. But at the end, towards the end of that detox, you go into the water fast. And for people with cancer and even people that have parasites too, because for people that have cancer, almost 100% have parasites, right? And then some people will say that cancer is parasites, that it's being misdiagnosed as like parasite sacs and parasite whatever are those are the tumors that they think people are seeing and the doctors are seeing in the scans and stuff like that. And to some extent that's true, and to some extent it's not, but they do say that pretty much 100% of the people that have cancer have parasites, and some of the people that have parasites are being misdiagnosed with cancer, that's for sure. So it is good to do things that will get rid of parasites. So a detox program does that, because it changes your internal terrain. We call it terrain modification. So it changes the microbiome, the terrain in your microbiome, to an unfavorable environment for the parasites. So it's not feeding them the way they want to be fed. So they leave your body. Sometimes they'll get killed off, but more often than not, they'll just leave your body, through excrement, through your pores, through whatever, and try to find a more suitable host that's doing hot Cheetos and energy drinks and drinking alcohol and things like that, right? So doing the minimum, like I said, 3-day water fast, and if you have like hardcore stage 4 cancer, even like 7 days is optimal. but you still do the shilajit minerals, you still do the MSM minerals, because you need to build your immune system, and it's a calorie free basically, but and then you build your immune system that way, like you said. And there's something about water fasts, where you're actually removing things and allowing your body to sort of catabolize itself, because as it catabolizes itself, it's eating itself. It'll eat up the bad cells, and if you have cancer, those bad cells are cancer cells. So and in an indirect way, the RSO combined with a detox and then a water fast, and taking the supporting supplements like the shilajit and the MSM, that all combined together will put your body into that healing state and into a state of catabolism, where you actually start eating up all the bad stuff inside of you and creating better stuff from it, right? And so there's a short period of a window that you do that for, like 21 days for the detox, and within that could be like a 3-day to 7-day water fast, and it might, so the whole thing might last about 28 days, and then you go into eating to battle cancer after that, right? So you don't stay in that detox mode unless you're in like a stage 4, or you want to really just get rid of it quickly. Then you can go into just like all liquids and stuff like that, because when people were in the dire straits, that's what I've seen have the success, along with the Rick Simpson oils or the full extract cannabis oils, is to go into just like liquids and water fasts and things like that, when they were given no hope, kind of a thing, and like sent home with 2 months to live or whatever, So I'll give an example of that, and where removing things was what it took. Okay, so there was a gentleman that I knew, and he's like a manly man. He owned a construction business, and he had jaw cancer. Okay, and like bone cancer in his jaw, and he he did the traditional route, and he knew like he didn't know too much about holistic health. He was like, he just followed allopathic medicine, traditional medicine from your MD, and he went like the chemotherapy, he did radiation stuff, he did the pills, whatever they gave him, he took, and he just kept on getting worse and worse. And he started like getting super ill. He was losing all his hair, the typical thing. He had the scarf on his head, and they finally came to him and said, "Hey, your cancer is still progressing, and we think that the best thing for you to do is we want to remove part of your jaw. We just want to cut out the bone that has cancer in it." And he's like, "Well, what's going to happen to my face that way?" They're, "Oh, well, we'll have like a prosthetic jaw and like a plastic face that you could just snap in, and it'll look like you have a face, right?" And that was what it took, like it takes other people more or less to get to there, but that was his breaking point, where he said, "That's it. Like if I'm going to die, I'm going to die with my face, with my full body, body parts, whatever, and I'm just going to try to go a more natural route." So, he did the RSO, that's when he found me, and he found a Chinese practitioner of some sort, Chinese herbalist basically, and he just went hardcore. Like he went into the 21-day reset, and back then it was called the simple cleanse, and when he got into the liquid phase of it, went into water fast for, I forget, it was 3 or 7 days, and somewhere in there, it might have been 4 or 5, you never know. And then after that, he maintained liquids for quite a few months, probably about 6 months. And remember, he was like told that he needed to get the bone cut out of his jaw and have like a prosthetic jaw and prosthetic face, to snap in, or else he would die, kind of a thing, right? And and he went off everything, all medicines, all medications, any kind of radiation, all kind of stuff, and just did that. And within like 6 or 7 months, he was cancer free. But he went hardcore. Like he didn't eat. He, like literally, just was on these like teas and herbs, and he did like some Sheila G. He did some MSM, and he did a little bit of some chlorella, like a very small amount, just to get some nutrition that way. But otherwise, it was just like these herbs from that Chinese herbalist and the RSO and those other minerals and stuff like that. And he literally beat the cancer when he was on this like torture journey with the medical establishment for at least 4 or 5 years. I just feeding money into that and coming out of it with pain and worse outcomes every single time. And like, so it took about 7 months, of that to have no detectable cancer in his body. And it was crazy. Like within 18 months, he was back, like hair, full head of hair, and a ponytail, and like it was super crazy, because I had a gym at the time, so he worked out at the gym, and yeah, and because I said he's a construction worker, a man's man, and like when I met him, he was super frail, and he was and when he ended up moving out of state, from where I was at, several years back, he was, strong again, muscular, and, like it's like a firecracker, so that's a good example of, removing things, removing the medications. Like he stopped getting tested. He was getting tested all the time, right? And never getting better. He stopped getting tested. He stopped taking the oral medications. He stopped the radiation. He stopped, doing all the stuff that all the medical stuff. Like I'm not saying that like I can't tell people to do that, but that's what it took for him, and whatchamacallit, and then removing food, like not going on some keto diet, where like I'm eating healthy meats or whatever and all this kind of stuff, like literally going into liquids, and things that have like high amounts of nutrition in them in a liquid form that just totally feed the body, but don't overburden it with anything. So all that energy that would normally be used for your digestive system, which is the energy, the most amount of energy that's used in your body is through your digestive system. So if you minimize that to almost nothing by just taking in liquids, and not like calorie dense liquids like smoothies, but just literally liquids like teas and water and stuff like that, then all that energy can go to healing, right? And that's how you get more benefit from taking the RSO. Okay, so again, especially in today's world, you need to do other stuff besides just the RSO or FECO. All right, the Rick Simpson oil or full extract cannabis oil. We need to do other things to support it. Like the supporting supplements. Like there's a ton of them that you could take, right? But the two most important ones are the Shilajit, because they're minerals, but they're minerals that your body can absorb. And I have several videos on the YouTube channel about that, about what that is, so I won't get into it too much here. But it's basically plant-based minerals that your body can absorb, because like 99% of the stuff that's available on the shelves of Whole Foods and Sprouts and all those places is they're not they're minerals, but they're not able to be utilized by your body, because they haven't gone through the photosynthesis, they haven't been digested by plants, and that's the only kind of minerals that your body can utilize is that. Otherwise, the minerals that most people take in from supplements, they're not able to be utilized in your body for good, and they can actually be built up. You can actually build up toxic amounts of them in your body that can actually cause symptoms of dis-ease in your body, right? Including chronic fatigue and migraines and all kinds of other stuff. So so hopefully that helps you guys out. I don't see any other questions other than that. But like I said, I'm going to be putting in creating a PDF of everything that I mentioned on how to on what I would do or what's recommended to do to overcome harder chronic conditions such as cancer or leukemia, or even like systemic things like lupus and the glaucoma, kind of things, and chronic pain. I'll put that in, things that you could add in to make things better, and things that can be removed to make things better. All right, because again, like I'll do one more little case study before we go, and this is a woman that she was sent home with 2 months to live, right, and she was taken off like by the doctors because they said there's nothing else we could do for you, and we're taking you off the chemotherapy. We're taking you off the medication. Just go take care of your affairs and all this stuff, right? But she had the right attitude, and she was willing to do anything, because she wanted her life back, right? And she wanted to live, and she didn't want to get high though. So she was one of the people. She's a minority in this respect, but she only did the CBD dominant version of the RSO, the daytime version, and she had pancreatic cancer, by the way, which is like the most hardcore cancer. Like most people that have that have their outcome is death, right? But she did that, and she didn't even do a full gram a day actually. So she was one of the people that reacted well to it. But she also, did the other stuff, that we recommend, like the detoxing and all of the, the supporting supplements. And she was able to overcome her situation and live a thriving life, like not just like be bedridden and like barely hanging on or whatever, and like, oh, like waving high from a bed or whatever. Like she's going out dancing, going out to the movies, going out to dinner with her friends. Living life, not on the sidelines, but up off the sidelines, participating in life, right? And that was because she was given a gift by the medical association by being taken off all of their stuff, like forced, like because she's a believer in the medical establishment, and so it was she would have never stopped it unless they made her stop. So that was very fortunate that they did that to her. And then she followed the protocol, and she had the positive attitude. She was never like, woe is me, I only have 2 months to live or whatever. She was like, I know you could help me. Let's go. Right? I just like that. Boom. And she did everything. If something was going on, she contacted. Not like, oh my God, this is going. I'm worried now. Blah blah blah. She was like, this is what's going on. Is there anything that you recommend I could do to help? And then I would recommend something, whatever. Most times it would work. Sometimes maybe not, whatever. But the overall outcome, like next time her doctor saw her, he was like surprised to see her. Right? Like I thought you were dead, kind of a thing. And then like years and years later, it's like we don't know what happened. What you call it, like they said, like spontaneous remission, or like oh, we misdiagnosed you or whatever. Like all this stuff, even though there's years of fucking of evidence in her charts and stuff like that of all the abuse they did to her, right? So that there was a couple of case studies for you of where removing some things, and then adding in some other things to get to the promised land, to get to the desired outcome, like with cancer, either being in hardcore remission or no detectable cancer, the things that you can do in addition to the RSO or FECO, full extract cannabis oils. Okay. So that pretty much ends the presentation. Like I said, I'm going to put the PDF and I'll put a link in the description below the actual replay of this video. And The easiest way to get into the replay would be in the Cannabis Oil Secrets group, which is I put it in the chat. The whatchamacallit, in the you should see it in the YouTube chat, stuff like that. But it's schoolwithak.com/FECO. You know, that link will be in the description as well. And you're welcome, Diane. Glad you were able to make it. And again, Al Morentin with Cannabis Oil Secrets and MyFitLife. Remember to join the group. It's free to join, and there's free protocols for cancer, a number of other things. You could ask questions, and I'm in there daily answering questions. So hope to see you in there, and thank you for joining the live stream. Bye-bye.